Carlos Nelson with Cascade Media Group, and today we got the head of our Parks and Recreation here in Kansas City, one of the beautifulest cities as it relates to parks and green spaces in the country. Who do we have here?
Hey, Carlos, Chris Cotten with Parks and Recreation. How are you, sir?
Doing all right. Hey, Chris, as I said off camera, we like to go back to kindergarten. Tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, my Parks and Recreation career started in 1989 as a lifeguard with the city of Tulsa, and I was in college at the time, and I just stayed in Parks and Recreation and literally worked my way up from the ground level.
No, let's go back to where you from, what high schools and grade schools you went to. That's what I'm when I say kindergarten.
Oh, you're talking about way back.
Yeah, and the main thing is talk about some of the mentors and adults that help fashion your life and your beliefs, and how, like you said, you was a lifeguard, and then from there you went to parks. But go back.
Well, if we want to go way back, I was born in Sand Springs, Oklahoma, in an orphanage. I was adopted out of the foster care system. I went to Jinx High School in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Started out at Oklahoma State, graduated from Drury University in Springfield, and I got my master's degree at Texas State in San Marcos, Texas. Some of my early heroes were my grandfather, my high school coach, my college coach.
You
And
know their names so that they can get their little shout out here, and I can tag
sure,
them.
high school coach was Coach John Turner, and my college coach was Brian Reynolds, Drury University swim team.
What did you learn from your high school coach that you
Coach taught me to always persevere and put in the work. Drury University has been historically one of the greatest swim teams in the country, and so to do the work to get there was a challenge. I didn't start growth till late in high school, so I was always a little undersized by some of the other swimmers, and it just took me a while to get where I needed to go. I didn't have a plethora of scholarship offers right out of high school, so I had to put in the work.
All right, so now let's go from the lifeguard to your parks and rec.
Sure. So I first moved to the Kansas City area in 1998, and I was the recreation director for the Excelsior Springs Job Corps Center up in Excelsior Springs. And I was coaching the basketball team, and I brought them down to Kansas City Park System. We played in the adult league at the Kansas City North Community Center, and that's where I first learned about Kansas City parks, and I got recruited to put my name in the hat to come to Kansas City. And in 1999, I started as the center director at Brush Creek Community Center, and I was there for about 5 years. And then as I wanted to, yes, sir, 1999.
Because I lived right over in Sheridan Estates. So,
okay.
Yeah, all right, okay. Go ahead.
So I was at Brush Creek, and I really enjoyed my time there. The department started to go through some budget cuts and some staff reductions about that time, and I was offered the director job in Harrisonville, Missouri. So that's where my first parks director job was. I was there for a little over 6 years, and then I was the parks director in Joplin, Missouri, when that tornado came through and took out 50 to 70% of the town.
So, see, to me, you just came out of nowhere, and now to a lot of other people that will watch this program, they'll see that you've been around the corner a couple of times.
Yeah, so all four of my children were born here in Kansas City. Like I said, that when the opportunity came open to return to Kansas City, I couldn't get my resume in fast enough to come back to Kansas City. This is a historic department, right? This is the position that literally I've always wanted. I mean, there are people talk about, oh, I want to be quarterback for the Chiefs, or I want to do this, or I want to do that. This is the position I've always wanted.
Cotten, one of my associates and partners, they asked me to ask you a question.
Sure.
How many of the parks have you visited here in our Parks and Rec system?
There's 221 parks, and I have been here a little over a year and a half, and I haven't been to all 221, but I've been to most of them. I've been in them, under them, checked out the infrastructure, figured out plans to repair things.
That I had talked to. I'll give it a fond quote gatekeeper, your gatekeeper, Carmen, yesterday, and I asked her that, and you not only was she telling me that you visited all of these places, what you just said, you went up and under, and you were looking at the infrastructure, the pipes and all this. I was like, what? He done turned into the plumber too? But to know what you got and what you need to do. So, with that being said, I want to ask you this. What's your plans for?
So we have a lot of what we call deferred maintenance in the system. We have a lot of buildings, structures, facilities, excuse me, that we just haven't gotten to. We haven't had the revenue to attack those issues. So we're in the middle of several things right now. We're doing a comprehensive plan for the entire park system, which includes all 221 parks and everything in those parks. We're working on a separate plan on the infrastructure for all of our aquatic facilities. And when all those plans come together and get done, then that's going to allow us to start prioritizing the money that we need to fix these things. For example, Swope Pool, that pool's hollow underneath. I've crawled under that entire pool. I've checked out all the pipes, all the cracks, everything it's going to take to bring that pool back. And this one plan will touch on the finances of what it's going to cost us to renovate that pool and make it a highly functioning swimming pool again. Right now, when I got here, the Southeast Community Center pool was closed. That pool is being excavated right now to be rebuilt. Hopefully it'll be online for the public in February. We're looking at renovating and replacing the West Side pool, Jarboe Park. So a lot of things that need updating, need love, and that's the plan. Once these comprehensive plans are done, then we can realistically start asking for funding to fix these things.
That was my next question about funding and how do you raise the money, and do you feel that there's enough money in the budget to take care of some of the problems that you see? Because a lot of people don't understand that Parks and Rec is responsible for our boulevards and things of that nature. Talk a little bit about that.
So, well, to answer your question bluntly, no, we don't have enough revenue to take care of everything. In 2012, 2013, we moved from the general fund to the park sales tax. So a sales tax is pretty much what funds our maintenance operations. So for the general public, so if you go to Walmart in Kansas City and you buy a pair of pants, we get a small part of that sales tax. If you buy it online from Amazon, we don't get anything. So we have on paper, we have about a $46 million budget to take care of things. But in reality, we're only operating on about 76% of that. We have some other things that the money bleeds off to, so to speak, and we don't have that funding. So we're working hard to try to find other revenue streams. We're working on a fundraising position right now to try to address some of those gaps.
Tell me this: do your funds come out of your budget for the zoo?
Yes, the zoo does get a significant portion of our sales tax to operate. Yes, sir.
How do you feel your relationship is with the county and the city? Can you bring coalitions together?
I have a decent relationship with the county. They've had some turnover there, but we're talking about working on some things together right now. With the city as a whole, yeah, I think I have a great relationship with the city. We answered, or the department works for the park board, which is appointed by the mayor. And so we work together to work with the park board and work with the city manager and other city leaders to develop parks with the resources we have available.
Yeah, now that we've got this election just passed, we have new council members, and different council people have different priorities and what have
Mhm.
you. That's why I asked you that even though we have the city manager form of government and the mayor appoints, but
Yeah,
they do have a say.
and as those new city council members come on board, we'll get together and see what their vision is. And and the thing I like to say about parks is nothing has to be forever in parks, right? I mean, we're here for the people, and we can make changes as we can afford to make changes to provide service. What's recreation to you and what's recreation to me are different than other people in the city, right? So you try to do your best to encompass the needs of everyone.
Do you think Parks and Rec has a diverse staff? Uh, Basically, I'm saying throughout the whole operation.
I think that we're understaffed right now, and I think that as we look to fill positions, diversity is always a huge thing that we need to look at. So, when I was here 20 years ago, the department had 900 full-time positions. Today, we have less than 300 full-time bodies doing the work. So we're trying to restaff, and yes, absolutely, diversity is a part of that mission.
Do you have any? Where do you stand in park? Well, one is personally, and then one is professionally. With these bike lanes.
Well, biking and walking are the two greatest forms of exercise in the country right now. Biking is everywhere. We have to provide safe access for people to bike. A lot of people are with the cost of gas seem to be getting away from that, and if they can bike to work, that's what they do, right? A lot of people are moving back to the core of Kansas City. You can see all these buildings that are being renovated into apartments, and that's how people get around. I'd be interested to see what happens with the bike lanes when the streetcar expands as far as they're talking about. But as of right now, the bike lanes are the main way that people get around. I mean, I've heard a lot of complaints on the bike lanes. I haven't really dove in and looked from an engineering standpoint how to change that. I've been focused on several other things, but biking is one of the most popular ways that people get around.
All right, we're gonna be closing out. As how I be doing these interviews, as I'm talking, I'm trying to think what the else I need to ask you, and I wanted to ask you, do you have any opinion about the downtown being with this stadium stuff? Just before we came on air, uh, there was a press release that the Royals or whoever the Chiefs, I don't forgot who it was, said that they have narrowed it down to two places, and I didn't get a chance to look at what the two places were. How do you feel about that? And if they do downtown, how does that affect Parks and Rec? Also, does that boy, I'm asking a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
Uh, that volleyball for women, does Parks and Rec play any role in that?
Um, well, the first question on the baseball stadium. So, from my understanding, they're looking to either build it obviously downtown or they're looking at North Kansas City on the site of the former bowling alley. Um, when I was in Joplin, we built a minor league baseball stadium there to encourage economic reinvestment and development of that part of the Joplin area. And I see this as the same thing. What I hear people complain about the most is that there's nothing wrong with the K and that parking downtown will be an issue. Now, parking downtown may be an issue, but one of the things that it will force people to do by parking downtown is they will be able to see the new shops and businesses that are developing there, and that will start the cycle of economic redevelopment down there. As far as the location, I mean, it would be in the city, and obviously I work for the city, right? So I'm going to support the city. I'm not sure on your question about the women's volleyball, though. That
I meant to say I said volleyball, but I meant the soccer.
oh, okay, soccer.
Brain
Well,
went
that's
on vacation.
okay. Well, that's incredible. Like, that is the first stadium developed specifically for women's sports. So we want to talk about equity and gender equity. I mean, that's incredible, right? It's going to be a beautiful facility. Uh, the current right now are struggling a little bit on the field, but that's nothing that can't be turned around. it's going to be a beautiful facility when you come over the bridge, right? It's going to look incredible. And 20 years ago, when I made that commute to Brush Creek Community Center, that was a pretty blighted area. So I think the improvements and everything that's going to come along with it for economic development in that area, it's going to be great. And right, we have Garrison Community Center just on the other side of where that's going, and that whole area is starting to redevelop. So I think it's a positive.
All right. We're going to close out with this because since I said that soccer, Parks and Rec is responsible for all of these soccer fields for the young youth. How's that going? Because they look to be in superb shape. When I come across 63rd Street, 4, 5, 6 o'clock, boy, they be full with teams.
So I think that soccer in general, especially the World Cup coming, soccer is the most popular sport in the world. And I think that, we are in a position to a niche, if you will, to provide for all the kids, especially the kids that may not have the economic opportunity to practice with the elite clubs. And that's something I've been working on since I got back to Kansas City, is finding ways to get those kids the training. So what I would like to see is a lot of kids from Kansas City end up playing professional soccer someday. But realistically, we need to get them the skill set first. We need to offer the training. We just reintroduced basic introductory soccer in the Parks and Recreation Department. We have about 122 kids participating right now. And so we're working to grow that.
All right. Hey, I'm going to ask you, do you have any closing that you would like to tell our audience, let's say our adult audience, and what would you have to say for any of our young youth that are watching the program?
I'm just happy to, I'm like I said, this was the job I've always wanted. This is where I wanted to be. I think that we have the opportunity to redevelop things for children. It's our job to provide safe parks, and that's the main focus. Is let's give the kids positive things to do. Let's keep the parks safe. We're rebuilding the park ranger program right now. We're in the process of, we were budgeted this year to hire 15 park rangers for safety, and that's one of the things we're focused on right now is park safety.
Let the community know what that is and who these people are and what have you. Is that a youth program? Is that adult program? Is that more security program?
Security. It's park security. So it's we've really tackled the issue of trying to clean the parks up, some of the houseless issues that we've been tackling. When you go out to a park and you see drug paraphernalia left over everywhere, we don't want kids in that, right? We want the parks to be safe. So really abundantly trying to be seen in the parks and making sure they're clean and safe for all of our young people.
I know y'all have had some real good participation on some cleanups on some parks, because I participated in one.
We have, and that's our volunteer program that's run by Kelly Jander, and she does an excellent job. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, we're not near the staffing levels we were 20 years ago. So all the help we can get from the public to clean up the parks and help keep them safe is excellent. And when you have those volunteers out there, you have more eyes in the park who see more things, who report that back to staff.
What you got to say to the youth?
Stay in school, focus, stay out of trouble, and look forward to becoming productive members of society, right? Work on that education, whether it's a trade school or college, and put forth.
All right. And as we always say in closing, when you invest in your community, you're really just investing in yourself. Good day.
The program is brought to you by the Kansas City Business Association.